Welcome to this presentation that we are giving in the framework of the BESOCIAL project. My name is Fien Messens and I'm a researcher on the BESOCIAL project at KBR, and together with my colleague Pieter Hayvaert, researcher at IDLAB, Ghent University, we are going to discuss the selection and harvesting of our social media corpus within the BESOCIAL project. Research is one of the core tasks at the Royal Library of Belgium, KBR. We have researchers who are experts on the collection of manuscripts, rare books, coins, music and maps. And more recently, we have research projects that are working around digital and the challenges and opportunities that can bring a national library. And these are both short and long-term research projects that are working on everything from facilitating digital humanities research, web archiving, social media archiving, electronic literature, as well as work on digital data, generating data, facilitating access to data, improving the quality, and also enriching the data. And these research projects are on the cups of digital heritage work together across the organization, and today we will share with you one of these projects, BESOCIAL. So what is BESOCIAL? It's a 2-year research project funded by BELSPO and coordinated by KBR, Royal Library of Belgium. And the aim of the project is to develop a sustainable strategy for archiving and preserving social media in Belgium. The objectives within the project are prepare and set up a pilot project, provide recommendations for sustainable social media archiving, making born digital data part of our cultural national heritage, and also promoting this born digital data. And of course, KBR, the Royal Library of Belgium, is not carrying out this project alone. We have a fantastic interdisciplinary team behind us from various universities across Belgium, the University of Ghent, Université Catholique de Louvain, and the University of Namur. And all of these give us advice on technical, legal, and user requirement level. So within BESOCIAL, we select hashtags and accounts from the social media platforms, Twitter and Instagram. We try to get data from Facebook as well, but this was technically and legally very difficult, and therefore we decided to focus only on Twitter and Instagram. The focus in BESOCIAL is on getting textual data, partly because getting photos is linked to legal and technical barriers. And we try to be as representative as possible. However, the selection is done selectively, which means that we can never have 100% representative lists. We only collect publicly accessible data. So, for example, direct messages from Instagram are not collected. And the subject of the harvested data in BESOCIAL is very broad, namely Belgian cultural heritage. And initially, the creation of the list of accounts and hashtags was going to be an internal event. And during the course of the project, we decided to choose 2 approaches to create the seed lists for the collection: a bottom-up approach done by the BESOCIAL team and a top-down approach done by the crowdsourcing campaign by the Belgian public. The top-down approach was carried out by the BESOCIAL team. So let's first take a look at that. Topic-wise, we focus on content that is linked to the cultural heritage of Belgium. This is, of course, really broad, and since Belgium is a very complex and diverse country, we decided to create our own definition of cultural heritage to outline the selection scope. And the BESOCIAL definition of cultural heritage is broad and covers, among others, movable, immovable, and intangible heritage. The following lists have already been passed on for harvesting: COVID-19, literature, festivals, museums, heritage institutions, minorities, food, expat communities, commemoration, and Belgian politicians. For the bottom-up approach done by the Belgian public, we have created a crowdsourcing campaign and also animation for this, a 45-second animation using mixed media. And here on the left, you can see a still of the video where you can see some typical Belgian heritage like the atomium, some Belgian fries. And for the crowdsourcing campaign, here you can see some extra stills where we ask the public to give input related to topics as news, sport, food, etc. And the animation is distributed via social media platforms. And people who wish to add accounts and/or hashtags can do so by clicking on the link, as well as adding their accounts and hashtags in the comment section at the bottom of the video, or just going to the KBR website. Here is an image from the film Lost in Translation. Maybe some of you have seen the film, but the moral of the film is that sometimes you feel mentally lost and isolated, and that's exactly how I see social media archiving. As you can see, there is a lot of jargon to consider. You have to familiarize yourself with certain concepts. You have a lot of questions which you may never get the answers to. For example, what is GDPR and do I have to use a DIP? And what about the complaints? And do I have to take access and copyright into account? So to come to my point, it is then important to create procedures that are easy to understand for everyone. And we are currently in the final straight line at BESOCIAL to creating these understandable procedures so that everyone can understand them and everyone can execute them.
Hi, my name is Pieter Hayvaert from IDLAB, and for my part, I will talk about the technical details involved in BESOCIAL for harvesting the different types of data. So for harvesting Twitter data, we used the Social Feed Manager. That is an open source tool that helps researchers and archivists build social media collections. Specifically for Twitter, it uses the Twitter API, which is an API that everybody can use if they apply for a project and an app within that API. And we've done that for BESOCIAL in order to use it with Social Feed Manager. And how we practically use it is that for every account and hashtag that we, for example, crowdsourced or gathered, as Fien mentioned, we do a harvest every week. For Instagram, we use a different tool. For Instagram, we use Instaloader, and Instaloader allows to download pictures or videos along with their captions and other metadata from Instagram. It's also an open source tool. The difference here, and it's a big difference compared to Twitter, is that there's no official Instagram API available. So what the tool does in the background is that it scrapes the website instead. One of the risks here is that you might get blocked if you do too many requests. So that's one of the things that we had to take into account. And the same approach we did for how many times a week we harvest, and that it's for every account we harvest it every week. So weekly is something that we do as well here. But compared to the social feed manager, where there's a lot of automatic options, we had to manually set up this approach to do it every week. What have we harvested so far in BESOCIAL? So for Twitter, we harvested and are still harvesting over 1,200 accounts and over 600 hashtags. And we have close to 2 million posts harvested, resulting in 1.6 gigabytes of data. It's important to notice here that it's only text that we're harvesting within the tweets itself. For Instagram, we have a little bit over 1,000 accounts, only 11 hashtags. We'll come back to that later. And we have a total posts of over 13,000 posts. This includes both the images and also the captions of these images. And that results in 12 gigabytes. This is significantly bigger than Twitter, and that's because of the images that are also downloaded when harvesting Instagram content. So there are some issues with harvesting from Instagram. Like I said before, there's no official Instagram API available. So the tool that we use resolves to scraping the website instead. You had the risk of getting blocked when doing too many requests. So we introduced pauses between different harvests to mimic human behavior so that it looks like you're scrolling to an Instagram feed, for example, on your phone. This worked for a certain period until it didn't anymore because Instagram started to notice that from the server that we used, and there was like not normal behavior of a user coming. So another way to deal with that is that we created a dedicated BESOCIAL Instagram account to harvest, because then you get some more things that you can do because you're using an actual account and not just as anonymous person browsing Instagram. This also worked for a while until it didn't anymore. And now we started experimenting with a different approach, or additional approach is that using different IP addresses. IP addresses are actually unique names or numbers given to servers across the whole world. This has been unsuccessful so far. Most of the things are that we got our Instagram account blocked, and for that you have to provide personal information to Instagram so they can verify that you're an actual user. But that's not so easy, and it's also does not negate the fact that you can also still be blocked later on again. So we can conclude from this that the lack of an official Instagram API really hurts archiving efforts. We used different tricks, but nothing is guaranteed to work. And even if it works, it's not guaranteed that it will keep on working in the future. What can we conclude as a whole from our efforts here is that creating seed list is a time-consuming task. And also, what is Belgian cultural heritage? So who will determine what is actually part of this heritage? And the social media platforms on a technical side have control about what and how we even can harvest the content. Looking at Twitter, that provides an official API, but on the other side, Instagram, that doesn't provide such an API and actually doesn't want you to harvest the data at all. For those who are interested in learning more about what we did in the whole BESOCIAL project, on the 15th of September, we have our colloquium of BESOCIAL, and it's a hybrid one, so everybody is really invited to attend this. We already put a link here, but you can also contact us if you want to have more information and want to be informed about how you can register for the event. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please let us know.